Shalom, shalom. We live. Israelite School U.P.K. You understand? Let's see if we live now. We should be up. Shalom, shalom. Live in the Israelite School of U.P.K. Shalom, shalom. Every Wednesday night is biblical law class. You understand? All right. We're just gonna give everybody a few minutes to get in class. We're back on if you're on YouTube, back on our original channel. You understand? Back on our original channel that we have. All right. Just make sure everybody sign in for attendance. Of course, every Wednesday night is the law class. All right. We go over the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, our strength, our protection. You understand? As a nation of people, our codes, our culture, so many things that are contained in the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments. So many things, health things, things about nationality, things about property, civil laws, so many different laws, you understand, that are in the Bible that we would not even realize. You understand, talking about different plagues and things, so many things as recently, laws in the Bible. All right. Recently, there's a brother that was mentioning where he was talking about, he was saying, was problems with irrigation in the house, different things going on. Shalom, Shabbat Thumb. Just make sure y'all sign in for attendance. Like it's laws in the Bible. You understand? For you to notice things even before, we had hospitals and scientists and all of these different things that we have now. Of course, we had science, because the Most High was giving us, the knowledge of his knowledge about how things run, how things function in the earth. You understand? We had that given from the Most High. And what he was talking about was in the house. You understand? There's laws like the Most High. These laws really set us apart as a nation. Of course, there are numerous scriptures saying that how the Most High set us apart, but set us apart. But there are so many different things in the law that, of course, we would take now for granted, or the world would take for granted now. The world would take for granted that everybody knows this information now. This is common knowledge now. But if you think about thousands of years ago, before Twitter, before the internet, before Google, before Facebook, you understand, before a GPS, before an iPhone or a smartphone, before, universities and hospitals, the Lord had given us knowledge about how to be the superior people and have a superior culture as compared to all of the people on the face of the earth. You understand? One of these things here, like the Lord there's a term, like the Lord wants us to have cleanliness as a nation, to be clean, not just to be clean from sin, which of course is very important and paramount, but the Lord gave us civil laws about how to deal with things. Very important laws today would be considered health laws, quarantine laws, especially nowadays. We see the value of these laws, statutes, and commandments that's in the Bible, even though because we refuse to obey the Most High as a people, and we celebrating Halloween and getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving and every other abominable thing that the Lord told us not to do. You understand? Because of these things, the world does not look at us as a wise and understanding people. Of course, in Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 6, the Lord said if we kept his laws, statutes, and commandments, then the world would look at us as a wise and understanding people. So much so of the inventions and things that we have created, because of the status we have for not obeying the Most High, we remain at a lowered or a slave status in this empire. You understand? We remain at a common or a bottom of the barrel position, even though we have all the talents, all the ability, everything that makes this empire function comes from so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We create it, we pioneer it, we build it. There's sayings, the words that we say, the dances that we create, the inventions that we make, all of these things that we make, we as a people, because the Most High gave us a commandment. A lot of times you'll wonder, why Black inventors don't get their credit, why Black people do not get credit for the things that we create. for the places and the things that we owe. Salaki, that's not Quashah, that's Quadak. Shalom, Quadak. Shem Shabrakatah. Salaki, warrior. All right, I thought it said Quashah. We don't get credit for these things. One of the things that Shalom says, Yah Shema Tashim Yah Shah. When the Lord said in Deuteronomy 4 and 6, it said, Deuteronomy 4 and 5, the Lord said, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments. Not only, there's so many layers to this in the scriptures that not only are these statutes and judgments to make sure that we have law and order, but they are also our reputation and our power. Shalom, they are our reputation and our power to be recognized in the earth as a people. Without an identity, without a nationality, without understanding that your nationality, your racial identity is important, everyone can steal from your people. You understand? Everyone can steal and claim things for themselves and their people. They can take credit for the things that we have done as a people because we do not have a national representation. And when you hear the word nation, for those of y'all that might be tuning in, a nation is not the country or the land that you live in. Nationality, it means race. But you have to define that a little bit closer because of slavery and captivity. What we consider our ethnicity or our nationality has been changed so many times by the people that have enslaved us. They've given us names and titles so that they can determine who we are. They can determine our identity. And because we have not turned back to the Most High to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, our identity, in far as the eyes of the world are concerned, is we are not one nation of people. Some of us are Cuban. Some of us are Mexican. Some of us are Puerto Rican. Some of us are Dominican. Some of us are Afro-American. Some of us are African-American. Some of us are Haitian. Some of us are Cherokee or Seminole. Shalom, Gabachim, Shabrakatah. We have all of these different names and these titles that come from our oppressors because we as a people take the cultures and do not keep these statutes and judgments. Remember, it's so many different layers of levels of importance, not just keeping these laws about not eating pork, not eating crab, shrimp, and lobster. You recognize Chinese food as Chinese food because of the word Chinese, right or wrong. You recognize East Indian food because of the East Indians. You don't recognize the food just because this is something that you ate. Their culture, diet, and cuisine is directly tied into their identity as a nation. You understand? Like it's called Chinese food. Why is it called Chinese food? Because this is what with the diet or the dishes that come from the heritage of the people being Chinese. You have Chinese martial arts known as Kung Fu. You have a Korean martial art known as Taekwondo. You have a Japanese martial art known as karate. These martial arts, these arts are directly attributed to the racial and ethnic culture and heritage of their people. No matter what you call your brand of karate, karate's roots come from this people. Kung Fu's roots come from their people. They have an identity that even while we are taught to ignore race, as though race does not matter, by default, you will say, I'm going to get Chinese food. You understand? Just you saying their art recognizes them as a people. Just you saying their religion, just you saying Islam recognizes the Arabs and their culture and their God and their Mecca and their society that they have created, so that this is their reputation and their wisdom, their culture, their way of life, their identity in the sight of the world. Without God's laws, statutes, and commandments, we do not have an identity of our own as a people. I'll give you a prime example. The term Moor that many so-called Afro-Americans, which is another proverb or byword, that term just means a North African. The actual people who were the Moors had treaties with the British so that their people did not get sold into slavery during the sub-Saharan, the Arab Islamic sub-Saharan slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade to the west with the Arabs, between the Arabs, the Hamites, the Africans, and the so-called European. They had a treaty set up and they had a term set up that was based for their identity, that if you lived in that area, you could fall under a catch-all term, but that did not mean it was your identity. Another example is the word American. You understand? They say everybody's American, we're all American, everybody's American if you are from or you were born in the United States. And this is the game that is run on our people because nobody buys this nonsense but us. You understand? And it's because of the Christian church not teaching us how important God's laws, statutes, and commandments are. I'm going to show you this by this example, right? The term American is a catch-all term. Under that umbrella of who or what is an American, you have the aforementioned people that I mentioned, the Chinese, who have a name, a culture, a heritage, a Shalom warrior, everything that's built in and is set up for their people. They are recognized that even though if you call these people an American, they will say, well, my father is Chinese. My father is Korean. My family is from. That denotes, that is talking about their true heritage. Even though in our minds, this catch-all terms like Moor, like American, like all of these things are not an actual identity as a people. They're titles that come from other people that have actual identities and their own heritage. So when the Lord says in Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5, the Lord said, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord or the Most High my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither means wherever, whither ye go to possess it. That these laws, statutes, and commandments, this is supposed to travel with you like Islam travels with the Arabs. You understand? Like Kung Fu and Chinese food and the Chinese culture travels with the Chinese. You understand? Like the Jewish man has a culture that he created from pretending to be the people of the Bible, which is our identity. The real Jews, the biblical ethnic Jews, are so-called Afro-Americans, Negroes, West Indians, Haitians. We are the Jews of the Bible. You understand? The true children, the Israelites. You understand? Of course, along with our Hispanic and Native American brothers. But the term Jews was the so-called Southern Kingdom that was for Judah, Benjamin, and parts of Levi. That is where that word and that term comes from. They have assumed an ethnic identity, even though they lied and stole it, that is based on the culture, the heritage, and the records that are contained in this Bible. And because of it, they have been able to demand reparations for crimes from people that did not commit the acts. While black people march and protest, talking about some damn reparations, talking about trying to get a check, talking about change the system from within, join our oppressors' police force. But if you are in Louisiana and you are a black cop, not that shoots an unarmed white man, not that attacks, not that harasses, if you just taser a suspect that committed a crime that's guilty, if you are black and he is white, they arrested a black police officer in Louisiana for doing much less lethal force than white law enforcement officers do to blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans on a daily basis all throughout this country. But again, because we were taught to change the system from within, some old civil rights slave nonsense that we clearly see does not work. Now, in thinking we are a part of our oppressors' culture and their identity because we call ourselves by their names, the witchcraft that Christianity puts in your mind is that we are all the same. Until you put on your oppressor's gun and a badge and swear loyalty and allegiance to his government, only to find out that you are still a Negro with that badge on, and you are not equal to that white man with the same badge. You understand? This is why the Lord is saying, this is your wisdom. This is your understanding in the sight of the nations. Everywhere we go, we should have these laws. If we kept the dietary laws, the civil laws, the marriage laws, the high holy day laws, everybody would know that even though we were on a different land, that these are the Israelites. That's how they knew to go into the west coast of Africa to come and find us. The Africans knew we were completely different from them because of these laws. These laws kept our culture and our heritage. They kept us strong. So the talent and the inventions that our children would make, that our scientists would make, that our doctors would make, that our priests would make, the advancements that we made put our culture and our heritage at the top above everybody else, because the Lord said he made one people above and special unto himself above all the other people on the earth. But when we don't obey those laws, statutes, and commandments, not only do we forfeit our identity, but we also forfeit the respect, the honor, the protection, and the recognition that we would have as a nation if we obeyed the Lord. We don't have an identity outside of these laws, statutes, and commandments. All we have is accepting the title as being parts of the empire or the slaves of another nation, the people's empire. So when it says in Deuteronomy 4:6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. The nations would recognize Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans for what we do and who we are as the people of the Most High, if we obeyed and kept these laws, statutes, and commandments, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this nation, meaning these laws make us a nation. You wonder why brothers and sisters in the hood and the ghetto is fighting and shooting each other and all of these terrible things, and our families are destroyed, and we running around with silly Halloween costumes on, trying to be like the damn Druids, trying to be like our oppressors. You understand? All Hallows Eve, you know, demonic riot, lust-filled kidnapping, rape, and murdering celebration of All Hallows Eve, that they made a Christian holiday, that all the Christians who swear that they love Jesus and serve God went out to dress up their kids to pretend to be demons and ghouls and ghosts and goblins, because this is the wisdom of another nation. And it makes us look foolish after you just spent a year protesting, talking about our lives matter. We black this, we black that. And then as soon as the opportunity presents itself, you are celebrating your oppressor's customs, worshiping his God in his voting booths, right back in his system, because without these laws, we do not have our identity and the direction that we should go. The Bible says this book of the law should not depart from us. You understand? They would make us a wise and an understanding people. Right now, we are looked at as foolish people. You understand? We are not looked at as a wise and understanding people. You understand? The very identities that we assume comes solely from the people that enslaved us. Psalms chapter 49 and verse 11. This is how we got most of these titles that we hold on to so dearly. Those flags that our people wave and die by. You understand? Fighting for the identity. None of these are the identities that our forefathers had. This is where they came from. It says Psalms chapter 49 and verse 11. Their inward part, meaning is that their houses shall continue forever. Meaning the thought of our oppressors is that they wanted to devise a way that their family lineages and their houses should continue forever. That is where Johnson came from, and Jenkins, and Diaz, and Ramirez, and Smith, and Jones, and Thomas, and Robinson, and Johnson, and Stevens. You understand? And Smallwood, and Green. All of these names and titles, and African, come from Leo Scipius Africanus. An American come from Amerigo Vespucci, a white Italian map maker. You understand? These titles and identities was so that our oppressors could make their houses continue forever. And Muhammad, you understand? A lot of brothers thinking that Muhammad name is something black. and Bay and Drew. You understand? Those are not our titles. Those ideas and titles come from the nations that put us in slavery. If you are a so-called Negro, you are a Judite. You are an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. That is your race, your heritage, your records and history, present, past, and future is contained in the Bible. If you are a so-called El Salvadorian, you understand, a Guatemalan, you understand, a Costa Rican, a Honduran, a Nicaraguan, you are of the tribe of Zebulon. You understand? You're a Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Zebulon. Those names and titles that we have, like Salvador, like Puerto Rico, Port of Riches, and Dominican Republic, the Republic of Dominion, those titles that we have, they are the titles of our oppressors that wanted their families, their heritage to continue forever. Their heritage of democracy, that is their culture. Their heritage of voting, cultures that they chose for themselves, of worshiping the stars with your zodiac signs. The sisters silly out of their damn mind, praying to a crystal, thinking that some crystal is going to tell you your future. Or that weed that you smoke and thinking that that's something for black people. That is the East Indians' culture of being a Rasta, worshiping the Hindu goddess Shiva. You understand? Those dreadlocks, that is the East Indian custom. Those are not the locks of the Bible. The locks of the Bible, when you get a Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, they are braids, plaits, cornrows. Those are the locks in the Bible. That's our culture. Them dreadlocks come from East Indians not washing their hair, behind, face, thinking that it is unclean or is unspiritual to wash and bathe yourself regularly and to comb your hair and be clean. You understand? That's why they want to be at one with the earth and sit and get high all day. You understand? That's their culture that we have taken on because every nation of people is thinking about continuing their heritage, except for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Prime example, abortion. God has laws in this Bible that says thou shalt not kill, which translates into thou shalt not murder. Since Roe versus Wade, we are about 18 million dead black babies in the hole. You understand? 18 million. That's our heritage. Our oppressor, when he came and enslaved us, he was thinking about the future generations of his white children that would be your boss, your supervisors, your mortgage companies, your banks, your CEOs, your company owners, your stockbrokers and traders. That's what he was thinking about. He wasn't thinking about murdering the future generations of his babies so that the slaves would outbreed him, so that the Indians and Mexicans and the Native Americans could outbreed him, and the First Nations brothers and sisters could outbreed him, because we always make more children than the other nations. That's why Pharaoh was afraid of us. That's why the Midianites were afraid of us. That's why every heathen was afraid of us. That's why they had to get and trick our traitorous leaders, who are all Christian preachers, Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King and Reverend Al Sharpton and Reverend Jesse Jackson, a bunch of preachers who are federal government agents that work with America to integrate us into their culture, to forfeit the heritage and customs that we had amongst ourselves, so that the other nations and their families and their cultures could continue forever. This LGBT movement, this trans rights movement, this bisexual movement, all of these movements are the heritage of ancient Rome. This is the Romans culture that they got from the Greeks, that they got from the damn Egyptians, that they got from ancient Babylon. The Trinity, the virgin birth, with women not supposed to have sex with men, but it's okay, you understand? If God comes down and magically impregnates your woman, all of these lies are continuing their heritage and their culture. Their Halloween, their All Saints Day, their Samhain worship, their worship of Nimrod for Christmas, they're putting up and decorating a tree. That's why it says in Jeremiah the 10th chapter, don't learn the ways of the heathen. We have forfeited our heritage so that we can be Democrats and Republicans and Christians and Muslims and die in record numbers and suffer and starve in depression, man. This book of the law is our way back to an identity in the earth. That's how important it is. It's not just telling you what to eat and what not to eat. It's giving you your identity so that your son does not grow up and murder another black man and spend 1,000 years in prison until he dies. You understand? That's what these laws are for. We're going to get into it. So in Psalms 49 and 11, it says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. And now in Christianity and Islam and Rastafarianism and Buddhism and democracy, our people are continuing the same heritage of Derek Chauvin. You understand? Of George Zimmerman, of Andrew Jackson, of the Caesars that murdered Christ and killed the disciples. Our people are continuing their heritage with their identities. You understand? Of the Puerto Ricans. You understand? The Mexicans, the El Salvadorians, the Guatemalans, the Brazilians. These are names that they created for our people to discontinue from our heritage as being the children of God. The Aztec, the Maya, the Inca, all the First Nations brothers and sisters, all in North, South, Central America, the Tainos, everybody knew that we were the children of God, that we were the Israelites of the Bible. We had our culture and our records, but because we did not obey the Most High, the curses he said would come came, and he took our heritage from us with our oppressors, you understand? This is what the Bible is talking about. So it says in Psalms 49 and 11, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places continue, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. That's why we got America. That's their name. You understand? Like, we ended up with this from disobeying the Most High. You understand? Hey, shalom, y'all small shot. All right. Everybody just make sure you thumb up, like, share, subscribe. You understand? All right. So now we want to get into these laws. This is our wisdom and our understanding. All right. Leviticus chapter 14. And we're going to get some of these laws. All right. Land of your possession. Get some of these laws on sicknesses and different things. All right. Of course, we got quarantine, all kind of things that's going on because of the COVID. You understand? Because of, all kind of sicknesses and infectious diseases spreading all over as the Lord plagues the world, leading up to more plagues. But there was a time when all of this quarantine and the Center for Disease Control and the National Institute of Health, these things were not up. But the Lord had given us laws, statutes, and commandments and laws about how to stave off diseases and plagues. You understand? All right, so we're going to read this here, Leviticus chapter 14 and verse 35. All right. All right, so we're going to start at verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, when ye come into the land of Canaan, mind you, we were coming out of the wilderness. We are in the wilderness, we coming into our land. For those of y'all that say the Israelites stole the land, that land of Canaan always belonged to us. That land of Canaan, it was a famine in our land where we were. Then we went to go and live in Egypt for hundreds of years, and other people moved into our land. You understand? That land always belonged to us. The Lord decided what land he gave to the children of Israel and put everybody else somewhere else. That's Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7 and 8. For those of y'all that are not familiar with that. He set boundaries. When we moved, heathens moved into our land. Same thing that happened when the king of Assyria moved our brothers and sisters, the northern kingdom, and took them from their land and put the Ethiopians and the Babylonians and other heathen into our land. Which is why Christ told the disciples in Matthew, the 10th chapter, don't go into the cities of the Samaritans, because the Samaritans was filled with another nation, another race of people pretending to be us. You understand? So what it says here, when ye come into the land, when ye come into the land, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession, meaning there's a house. You understand? The Lord has given us laws here, which most people may not know about how to examine a house properly. I just talked to a brother. You understand? A brother was saying, sometimes he come in the house, all kind of things is going on. You go in the house, you might not be feeling good. You walk in the house, you're feeling bad or something. It could be something wrong with the environment, with the house, something going on. The Lord gave us laws here. We're going to read. This is how much wisdom is contained in these laws to show further that Christians don't understand and have never read the Bible. You understand? So when it says, and he that owneth the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, it seemeth to me that as it were a plague in the house. Meaning saying it looked like it might have been a plague in the house. You understand? Everybody just make sure you sign in for attendance. Shalom, sis. Y'all small thought she have a shot. All right. Look like it's a plague in the house. Verse 36. Then the priest shall command that they empty the house. Meaning there's something wrong with the house. You understand? There's something wrong with the house. It don't smell right. Something not going on. I walk in, I'm getting dizzy, I'm getting lightheaded. Like it's laws in the Bible telling you that if something don't feel or seem right in the house, have that house examined. You understand? Have that examined. Take a look at the house. This is the level. Of course, now you got people that have to come. If anybody who's ever bought a house before, you work in real estate, you ever sold a house, you got to have a walkthrough. You got the inspectors to inspect the electrical works, to inspect the gas line and the piping, make sure that everything is up to code. You got housing codes, you understand, building codes. Does it meet the sanitation requirements? Are you going to serve food? Is this, what type of residence is this? Is this business? Is it commercial? Is it a residential? Well, the Lord is giving instructions here about how to deal with a house that is your possession, but something might be wrong with this house. You understand? The priest shall command that they empty the house, meaning saying, don't stay in that house. Don't be in there. Of course, we're in the wilderness. We're coming out. Houses are made of brick. Houses are made of stone. Houses are made of what they would call eco-friendly materials. You understand? That's why you don't see so many of them to this day where we were, all of these places. They're biodegradable. You understand? A lot of the things have old, they've decayed, they've turned back into the soil, and those cities and those civilizations turned back into the clay and the dust that they were in many cases. You understand? So when it says before, it says, so like I lost my place, the semen plague of leprosy. Verse 36, the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priests go into it to see the plague. Meaning the priests of the Lord were going to inspect this house to make sure that it didn't have a plague in here. Of course, a plague had a lot of meanings. Remind you, this is written in the Hebrew. We don't have 1,000 different words to say something. Just think about how blacks and Hispanics talk. You understand? Think of how we talk, how we communicate. You go up to a brother and say, hey, what's up, man? What's up? What's going on with you? What's up? Or you'll say, hey, what's up? You understand? Just the difference between those two. One could mean I'm saying, hi, how you doing? Another one could mean is something wrong. What's going on? If I say, what's up? You understand? Hey, what's up? If I said, what's up? You understand? We spiritual. For blacks and Hispanics, Native Americans, we understand what the different, hey, what's up mean. They're not saying the same thing. One saying hi, one saying is something wrong, you need some help. Another one is saying, do you have a problem or we going to fight? But it's the exact same words because we communicate and think in a spiritual way. It's called slang. That's what the Bible is written in. So when you see the word plague, you understand, it is going to specify what plague this is talking about to get a better understanding of what's in the scripture. All right. So it says here, then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priests go into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house be not made unclean. And afterward, the priest shall go in to see the house. Meaning, brother and sister, we were in the wilderness and say something wrong with my house. Today, you can go and get someone to inspect your house. Check the gas leak. You might even be able, because of these laws and about how much we have affected change and how much our culture that the Lord gave to us. Remember, Psalms 147 and 19. The Bible said, you only have out, you understand? He said, he showeth his words unto Jacob, his statutes and judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation. Meaning these laws and rules on plagues or what's going on with a house, some kind of mold, some kind of fungus, some sort of infectious disease outbreak, your walls might be rotten, a problem going on. Like the priests get instruction, get power from keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. So the brother might be noticing you going to get a house and something wrong. Today, we got housing inspectors, all these kind of inspectors, exterminators, all these things going on. Back in the day, all we had was the priest. Think of how many jobs and careers I just named that the priest did this. The priest was going to check your house out. We have no orchid man and no exterminator. You understand? Wasn't no site surveyor. The priest was going to go check it out. Like, this is how important these laws are to our culture and our heritage. You understand? So when it says, then the priest, okay, we're not going to read it again, shall see the house, verse 37, and he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish. What would that greenish or reddish plague that's in the house? Who can give me an idea what that's talking about? Who we got in here? We got a class full of people. Yarash in here, Kwadak in here, Krishar in here, Adnan here. Who we got in this class? You understand? Kawan, Shakal, a lot of people in here. What could you see in the walls that might be red, that might be green? What would you see in the walls? You understand? Mind you, this is what's written in the book of the law. That sister got one. Damn right, sister, mold. And what is mold? That's just one. Y'all keep typing in. What would mold do to a house? You go and move in some houses, mold in the house. What's going to happen? You understand? What's going to happen? You got mold in the house. Everybody going to be all right? Everybody going to move all your stuff and your kids and your family in and enjoy your new home? Everything going to be all right. You got a house. You got green and red on the walls with all kind of streaks. Your family is going to get sick. Your kids going to get sick. You're going to be breathing in mold. You might develop lung problems, some kind of uncleanness or some fungus or a plague. You understand? That's in the house. The priest is going to examine that. Of course, now you know to look, and if you see some sort of black and green on the walls and at the floorboards, you will know there's some kind of mold or something. Well, back in the day, we didn't have the term mold. This was a plague or some uncleanness in the house with yellow and green. Verse 38, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house. The priest going to leave out. He says it's got some uncleanness. It's got mold in the house, something unclean. The priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house and shut the house up 7 days. Meaning the priest is going to shut the house up. You understand? Nobody go in there. Don't be in that house. There's mold in there. What is that called? If some sort of disease or some outbreak or something is in an area and the priest go and shut it up, what is that called? Who knows what that's called? What just happened? Damn right, Anna, it can make you sick. What is that called? You understand? Rashad, Kwadak, Yarash, y'all in here, what's that called? Shalom, sis. Y'all Shamal Tashim Yawashad. You understand? What's that called? All right. It's got green. We established there's some sort of uncleanness or something in the walls. Maybe mold, maybe some sort of chemical spill, some uncleanness, something rotten. The priest's going to shut the house up 7 days. You understand? Going to shut it up. Mind you, we in the wilderness. We not in our homeland. We living in the wilderness. We in tents, we in places, but we're going to come into our land where we're going to inherit houses. You understand? We're going to have houses and build and establish our communities. We're going to build our nation from the ground up. These are the instructions on how to set our nation up. This is a quarantine. Very popular nowadays because of the COVID. You understand? You got the COVID, everybody quarantined. You've been in contact with somebody with COVID, quarantined. This house is quarantined. It's the COVID wing. What? Somebody broke out with COVID at the job? Job is shut down 7 days. That's how it was now. But Esau is so greedy for money, they don't give a damn if everybody die or not. They ain't going to shut the slavery down for 7 days or 2 weeks like they said needed to be done before. They could give a damn. Everybody get back in there, make him money, die if you need to. You understand? But that's what this is talking about. There's laws in the Bible, there's statutes in the Bible so that you cannot move your family into some mold-filled house. That's why today you have inspectors to inspect your house before you go in. You don't just move your kids and your family in there. You better move and check it out. Check the walls. Check to see if it's leaking under the sink. Is the pipes have black around there? Is it green up underneath where the water is dripping? Is it lime? Are the floorboards? Is the house stable? Does the roof leak? Is there an odor? Is there a gas leak? You understand? Of course, now these things, hey, Shalom, boy, y'all should break up. These things, everybody just make sure you sign in for attendance. These things that our people, everybody knows now to do, this was a culture that the Lord gave to us. And as we interacted with the other nations, we taught them how to be sanitary. We taught them how to check and inspect your homes and houses. Now it's a whole department of regulations and inspectors for your businesses, your buildings and things before you bring people in, before you open businesses, before you sell a house. It has to be inspected now. That's Israelite culture. We just read it right here in the Bible. You understand? This wasn't Rome. This is when we came out of Egypt. This is the ancient days. Africans was not inspecting their house to make sure things was clean. You know, Hamites was not bathing and washing themselves regularly. They still don't halfway do that now. And if they do, they got it from the Israelites. You understand? This is our culture here in the Bible. Think about something as commonplace as this is now, to inspect your house and to clean up the mold and all of that. That's something that's so common, you're expected to have that done before you go and move into someplace. But there was a time that nobody did it but the Israelites. Now the planet does it. When the Bible says, ye are the salt of the earth, you understand? We give the earth its flavor, its culture, its heritage. This is just one small example. You understand? Think of how many buildings and restaurants and hotels that's condemned because of asbestos and mold and unsafe and unclean practices and all kinds of spills and outbreaks and things. This is our culture right here in the Bible. You understand? When the preacher tells our people that Jesus Christ did away with the law, it's so much contained in the law that you don't know what you forfeit. This is our heritage to make sure that your house is not dirty and filthy and full of mold. You understand? You got brothers, sisters being raised up, ain't cleaning the house, all kind of mold, dirty stuff, and plagues and outbreak. We got laws in the Bible. We got statutes in the Bible right here. Keep your damn house clean. You understand? Make sure you clean stuff. Make sure it don't have mold everywhere. How do you know? Check it out. Inspect it. This is Israelite culture. Don't sit in your house with a gas leak. You understand? Make sure that your smoke detectors are working. Make sure that you got a, what is that? What's the other gas that you can't smell? What's the damn gas? What is that gas? I can't remember what the name of the gas is. It's another detector. Y'all type in if y'all know what it is. I think it's CO2, the one you can't smell. Make sure you got a smoke detector in your house that works. Make sure you got a CO2 detector in your house. Make sure that you checking your floorboards and your carpets. Make sure you don't have no gas leak. You're not walking around the house smelling like gas. You go to sleep, you wake up as a baby because you died. You've been reincarnated because you didn't check if there was mold or a gas leak in your house. These things are contained in the Bible so that we can learn from them. You understand? Like, this is our culture and our heritage. Most people have who here knew that this was in the Bible? Brothers and sisters in here, you understand? Got a Ben Yisrael brother in here, Kaya in here. Who knew that the Bible had laws on quarantining and making sure that you don't stay in a house full of mold? Who saw that before? Y'all just type in real quick if you ever heard that before. You understand? It says the priest, while I keep reading, y'all type in. It says verse 37. We in Leviticus 14 and 37. And he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which in sight are lower than the wall, meaning they lower than the wall. They're they're in the wall. They're on the floorboards. And he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which in sight are lower than the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house and shut up the house 7 days. Carbon dioxide, throw out assist. Carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide is another one. You understand? Don't sit in the garage with the car running. The gas is going to leak out your car and fill up the garage. You're going to die. You understand? You're going to sit in that and you're going to slowly fall asleep and you're going to wake up as a baby. Don't do that. You understand? It says the priest going to shut up the house 7 days. Verse 39, and the priest shall come again the 7th day and shall look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the walls of the house, meaning it's been shut up 7 days. Now, if the plague continues to spread, then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place without the city. Take all of that infected material. Take that out. Get them stones away from the people. Don't have everybody around this sickness and this mold. Get rid of that stuff. And he shall cause the house to be scrapped within round about, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off without the city into an unclean place. You're going to scrape that mold, scrape that stuff off, and pour that dust in a separate place that's away from the kids, the people, the family. This is waste management. You understand? You got some unclean, hazardous, or infectious material. You're going to scrape it, take it out of the place, separate it, get it away from all the people, and now you're going to take it to an unclean place. Today, that unclean place, what is that unclean place with the infectious materials? Where do they go? They go to the dump. They got a salvage place, a place where you go to throw all the unclean things. You understand? Certain countries, they have a place where they burn all of their trash, like in Sweden or something. They take it somewhere and they just keep a furnace going and just burn all the trash to get rid of it, so it can be separate from people, where it doesn't make your kids, your babies, your family, and the rest of the people in the community sick. Now watch this. The other nations of people, they know waste management and sanitation. Any of y'all ever work for a city? Y'all work for the city, the Department of Governments and things that deal with the city and civil services, or you ever work with trash, dealing with trash and maintenance and things and jobs in the city? The other nations of people know that sanitation is big business. In most cities, the most well-paid jobs in the cities is usually the people that are either driving the bus, driving the trash trucks, or dumping the trash. They the ones that's making the most money in every city, just about. You understand? They run businesses. Think about how much if you've never heard these scriptures before, how important waste management is, keeping your house clean, making sure that there's no mold, plagues, or outbreaks with all kind of red and green streaks and black streaks that could represent mold or some sort of bacteria buildup or fungus in your home, which you have to check for. This is Israelite culture. You should be looking for these things. You understand? At the same time, the Lord told us not to murder, not to eat pork, not to get high, not to have sex with another man's woman. He also said, you make sure you see some mold or some sort of fungus or buildup or discoloration in the walls of your house, that you don't just ignore it. Clean it, quarantine it, get the mold out. You got some spoiled, rotten food or something, turning colors, just get it out. Clean it. It can make people sick. It can make you sick. It could fester. It can bring the pestilence, which is rodents, roaches, bugs, rats. All of these things come. When our oppressor was in Europe, Europe was filled with these things. You understand? All this cleaning and sanitation, that's not their culture. We know it's not Hamites' culture. Hamites is they go and take a dump on the damn beach. Somebody next to him. I remember watching a documentary about, it was either Liberia or Sierra Leone. I think it was Liberia. That one of the military colonels or something that was in charge of the local area, there was someone on the shores of the beach directly to the left of him that went with a bucket to scoop water out of whatever body of water or beach or shoreline that they were. This person scooped a bucket of water and not less than 10 feet away from him was a grown man, a Hamite, that pulled down his pants and took a dump right on the beach where he is getting water to drink and bring to his family. Some Hamite is taking a dump in the drinking water that somebody 10 feet away from him is scooping up to take back to his family. This is not their culture. Being clean, quarantining, that's not their culture. This is Israelite culture. This is our heritage in the Bible. We would never learn these things in church, beating the tambourine, singing, jumping up and down, letting some sodomite lead a word of prayer. You understand? When the Lord again said, this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, who in the world accredits so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to being the ones that the Lord used to bring the world these sanitation and quarantine practices? They accrediting all the medical and the medical advances to the damn Greeks and the Romans. You understand? To Plato and all of them. That medical symbol with the snakes on the ambulance and that symbol for the medical profession, that come from Moses waving snakes in the wilderness when we were in the valley of fiery serpents. Do our people get credit for that? No. Why not? Because we in here celebrating goddamn Halloween and Christmas and voting and Mother's Day and Father's Day, smoking weed with dreadlocks. You understand? That wisdom and understanding is our heritage and our reputation that the Lord gave to us, that we forfeit as a people so that we can go and be Muslims like the Arabs or Christians like our oppressor. You understand? This is how important it is. All right, let's get some more. So now you understand we got inspecting the house, we got cleaning it, we got sanitation, all of these things here. All right, shall take the, all right, so now what it says, take them to an unclean place, Leviticus 14 and 42, and they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones, and he shall take other mortar and shall plaster the house. Meaning you're going to take out the parts of the stones that had mold, that had the slime, that had the infectious diseases. You understand? Mind you, we are not fully set up as a nation. We're not fully set up with all our businesses and industries and settled into the land. These are instructions that the Lord is given to make sure that you don't settle somewhere. You understand? What does it say? It's used as the physician's sign. It's called caduceus. All right. Yeah, Most High in Christ. All right. Caduceus. That's what the brother said it's called. All right. But that is what our people did. And they're going to take and remove these pieces that got mold and some sort of illness in it and replace it with healthy stones, with healthy bricks, so that the house does not have a plague before you move your family in and everybody gets sick and die. This is wisdom in the Bible. High level wisdom that you would never even know that was there. Think about why the rest of the world, you understand, is still trying to figure out a culture and a heritage. The Lord gave us this advanced level of sanitation, you understand, of inspection, of housing, things to look for, how to quarantine a place. Think about how many disease, how many plagues and things are spread, like cholera, like COVID. You understand? The laws about clean and unclean and plagues, they contain in this Bible. This is where the world get it from. Remember, the scriptures say Jacob is the former of all things. All right. Everything comes from Jacob, comes from our people, these 12 tribes. All right. So when it says verse 43, and if the plague come again and break out in the house, after that he have taken the stones away, after he have scraped the house, after it is plastered, you done scraped it, you done quarantined it, you removed the dirt, the evil, the stones that got the slime and the mold on there, you replace them, you replaster it, you done fixed and replaced panels in the house. This is construction work being done in the house. Quarantine and sanitation, getting the house clean and replastered, taking down old moldy rotten walls and messed up parts of the house, like the roof, like plumbing and piping that doesn't work. You taking it out, you replacing it, you're putting new ones in, you understand? So it says, and if the plague come again in verse 44, then the priest shall come and look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a fretting leprosy in the house. Leprosy is a term talking about a sickness in the house, a continual sickness. Leprosy is not one specific thing, just like a plague is not one specific thing. These are terms that we use to describe something, just like the examples that I gave was saying, what's up? All right, earlier. So it says, it is unclean, and he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber, the wood, the stones. Who here just understood what happened there? Mind you, we talking about old ages in the Middle East. We in the land of Canaan. We in the Middle East. We got houses of wood, houses of stone. We got stoneworking, woodworking. We not just all living in tents and teepees. We got actual cities and towns with stones, with wood, all kind of construction manner that we have. That's why I said the house got stone in it. The house got wood in it. It got all kind of developments in there. All right. And it says if the plague come back after you done got rid of the mold, you done shut it up, you done took the pieces out and replaced it. This is something structural. You understand? Your house is built on a foundation with something structurally is unclean with that house. You understand? They said, break the house down, the stones, the wood, the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place. The Lord said, scrap the whole house, tear the whole house down. What do they call when your house is not fit to live in? What did the Lord just say to do with this property? What did he say? You understand? Let's see who paying attention. Let's see if you can see just how much of our culture the world uses without us ever getting any credit for, because we refuse to be the people of the Bible and obey the Most High. What just happened to this house? You understand? Let's see. I'll give y'all a moment to type in. What just happened to this house? All right. Let's see what happened to this house. It was a house. It was standing. It was going to be filled with people, but then they found some sort of mold, some uncleanness in the house. They shut it up. They closed it up. They came back. They demolished it. That's correct. It's getting demolished. That house was condemned. You right, sis. It was rebuilt. It was tore down to be rebuilt. No, that's it for that house, man. That house is going to the big project in the sky. That house is done for. You understand? The Lord said, tear that whole house down, destroy it. You understand? The Lord does not want that house standing. You damn right. Oh, no, that's correct. That house was condemned. That's Israelite culture. Who knew all of these years of all the lies that we've been told about in the Bible? Who knew that condemning houses, quarantining and condemning houses, tearing down and demolishing houses, who knew that that was Israelite culture? Who knew that somewhere amongst don't eat pork, don't be a murderer, don't be a homosexual, don't commit adultery, the Lord said to condemn a house that's full of mold and tear it down, destroy it, and throw the you understand, the remains of the house in a scrap place outside of the city. We got sanitation, we got quarantine, we got construction, we got inspection. What else we got? We got demolition. We got a place that is set aside, mind you. There's a place that is set aside outside of the city, not where you live across the street from me, not down the block where Anna live, not up the block where I live. This place is outside of the city, away from all of us, where this sick house that comes from the mold that keeps coming back, so that everybody knows that house is no good, so that house is not going on the market. No other poor family is going to live in this condemned house. No slumlord is going to sell this mold-infested, feces-infested, unfit to live in, condemned, quarantine house. Nobody is going to live here. It's going to be shut up. It's going to be inspected. It's going to be worked on. It's going to be re-inspected. If it does not pass this inspection, the Lord wanted torn down, ripped apart, demolished, take all of the pieces of wood, everything about that house, Nothing should remain from this house. Take it to a separate place that you have set up outside of the city where you throw the trash. You understand? Who knew that that was in the Bible? Who has ever heard these scriptures before that knew that all of this was contained in the Bible? Going to church with Big Mama. You understand? I never heard these scriptures before in my life till I came to the I.S.U.P.K. Who knew that this was here? Who has ever heard these scriptures where God has laws on mold, on sanitation, on quarantine, on demolishing and condemning a house and setting up a place to scrap the unclean materials? Who knew that that was in the Bible? Just think of how advanced a society these laws, statutes, and commandments made our people. You understand? Not outside, you damn right, sister, not outside the I.S.U.P.K. Nobody even knows that this is in the Bible. You understand? It says here, now take it to an unclean place. Verse 46, moreover, he that goeth into the house all the while that it is shut up, he shall be unclean unto the even. Why is he saying that? If you go into this unclean place that is known for sickness or for mold or for this disease, if you go into this place at that time, you will be unclean unto the evening. Why is it saying this? Because if the house has a sickness that's broken out and you go in there, you could spread this sickness. You could give it to your kids. You could give it to whoever's on the job. You could give it to whoever, you know, when you go to the market, you could give it to them. You could give it to other people that walk by you. This is how plagues and outbreaks spread. That's why they told everybody to quarantine. If you was COVID positive, you had to quarantine for 2 weeks. I never knew until I came into the truth. Damn right I know. You understand? It's contagious. This is how to stop the contagion and the spread of infections. You understand? That is what's in the Bible. So when the Lord said, this is my laws, statutes, and commandments, this is your wisdom, we would be known as the people who are responsible for setting up the housing inspections, mold and investigation, demolition and scrapping the houses, setting up scrap places where unclean things are supposed to go, setting up the junkyard. The Lord gave us instruction on to do all of this when we were still in the wilderness. You understand? We were in the wilderness creating our nation under the Lord's instructions. You understand? It said if you go somewhere and you're unclean in this unclean house, what do? Verse 47, and he that lieth in the house shall wash his clothes. Why do you wash your clothes? Because the infection of whatever's in the house could get on your clothes. You understand? It's in the air. It's in the floorboard. It's in the walls. It could get in you, and your clothes, and your shoes, and your feet, and your hair, and your skin. And he that, you understand, shall wash his clothes. Moreover, he's unclean unto the evening. Wash your clothes. And he that eateth in the house shall wash his clothes. Anybody that goes in that house to eat, wash your clothes. And if the priest shall come and look upon it, and behold, the plague have not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague was healed. And he shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. You understand? What is hyssop? Who knows what hyssop is? You understand? The Bible, our culture is extremely powerful. Who knows what hyssop is? Who has heard of hyssop before? Anybody know what hyssop is? Let's get this Webster's dictionary. We're going to get hyssop in the Bible. You understand? Hyssop, Hyssop. Hyssop, a plant used for purification, purificatory, purification, sprinkling rites by the ancient Hebrews. European mint that is high. Now, listen, It was created by the ancient Hebrews. That's the first definition, right? See how important it is for us to keep our culture and obey the Most High. A lot of these housing projects that we are living in need to be condemned. That's correct. The only reason that our people are living in housing projects that need to be condemned is because our people vote and follow preachers and politicians instead of the men that God set up be in charge of everything. Mind you, it didn't say have the building inspector inspect the house. It said the priest would inspect the house. The priest would decide if this is sanitary. The priest would decide if this meets our laws, statutes, and commandments. Mind you, this is the statutes and the commandments in the scripture. So if we imagine, I now brought up a good point, sister. We are Israelites. You cannot deal with the Israelites the way you deal with the Chinese and the Arabs and the East Indians, because we are a holy people. Just like they treat the Jewish man, they treat him like he's an important people. They treat those Afghans like they're important to America. They didn't treat the Mexicans and the Haitians like they were important. They didn't treat Puerto Rico like it was important with all those earthquakes and floods and stealing the damn COVID and the relief money, giving it to the mayor. They didn't treat the Central American brothers. They're not treating Venezuela and Colombia like they important. El Salvador and Guatemala and Honduras are not being treated like it's important. But India and Pakistan, they're important because these nations have their reputation as a people. And even though America bombed the Afghans for 20 years, they respect them for not joining and integrating to Esau's society. They respect them so much that the Afghans are never going to have to live in these housing projects that Anna is talking about that need to be condemned. You understand? They're not going to have to live in those projects in Richmond with the damn mold and the sewage because the septic tank burst. The sewage is out into the parking lot. You understand? On video. They're not going to have to live in that. You know why? Because they have a reputation as a people in the earth. This is how important it is for you to not take the culture and the heritage of another nation of people. Back to Anan's point. If you were going to house the children of Israel, you cannot house the children of Israel according to what standards you wanted them to have. Because the children of Israel don't have politicians for leaders. The children of Israel have the priests and the prophets of the Lord, where we have commandments that you can't have houses with mold and stuff. Can't live in there. Are black leaders going through the projects to inspect these houses? No. Are the people that your pastor and your grandma is telling you your vote matters, your vote counts, are they going to your housing authority and telling them that these housing conditions are unsafe, that the pipes are not working, that the heat is not working? What about the mortgage companies and the people that are in charge of the housing, that are in charge of the maintaining the land, maintaining the wash machines and the dryers and the pipes and the heater and the AC, and maintaining the grounds and the trash? All of these things we just read about in the Bible. Well, not all of them, but these are things that the priests, that the men that God appointed to rule our nation, we would be in charge. But instead, because our society is filled with Christians who don't keep God's laws, these are laws that have to be maintained as a part of our religious, I use that word facetiously, as a part of our ethnic, racial, cultural, religious heritage, because our laws are all of the above. This is not our religion. These are the rules of what makes us as a people a people. This is what it means to be an Israelite. So if they violated these rules, like teaching your sons and daughters it's okay to smoke weed, which is against our laws, it's okay to be a homosexual, we should learn homosexual history, we should celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween and America's customs and holidays and pledge allegiance to America's flag and say my country, 'tis of thee, and rise for their national anthem. Those things violate our cultural, ethnic, racial, religious beliefs. They could not violate those things because we would be a protected group and culture in society. Just like a man who puts on a dress and wants to say that you better call him a woman, otherwise you are being transphobic. When you see some big nigga in a dress with a goddamn shack hand with fake nails on trying to dress up like Cardi B, want you to pretend that you don't see this gigantic Adam's apple and this size 14 foot in a pair of goddamn pumps, that you're supposed to treat this man as a woman. You understand? All right? Like, that's what the Lord is saying. That would go against and violate our cultural, ethnic, religious, you understand, our nationality beliefs. These laws are all of the above. They could not treat and deal with us as such without violating our beliefs. And they would respect those beliefs. If we were a nation, they would respect it. They would abide by it. But they don't respect it because we have poured ourselves out in the culture of all of the other nations of people. You understand? All right. So good. That's a good point on our border. You understand? Hyssop. The definition of hyssop in that scripture, it says here, hyssop, the first definition that Webster's has. This is how you know when the Bible says Jacob is the former of all things. The first definition of hyssop is a plant used and purificatory rites, sprinkling rites by the ancient Hebrews. You understand? It says definition 2 is a European mint. How did hyssop, a rite used by the ancient Hebrews, in order for us to get it, it had to be in the Middle East because the ancient Hebrews were in the Middle East. How did it become known as a European mint if the ancient Hebrews had it before Europe was established with lands and countries and identities, and Spain and Rome and Greece and Italy and Britain? How in the world could it be known as a European mint if the ancient Hebrews had it in the Middle East? How is it known as a European mint? I'll tell you how. Because they claimed our culture and our heritage for themselves. That's how. Because we forfeited our culture and our heritage by joining another nation of people and taking their culture, while they took the culture of the wisdom and the understanding that God gave to the people he made above everyone else on the face of the earth. We forfeited that by disobeying the Most High, and they took it to now even the dictionary is lying. Like the dictionary, this is something that's going out throughout the entire world. Webster's dictionary, it says it's a Hebrew herb that the ancient Hebrews used in their land, but now its ownership is from Europe. You understand? If you didn't know history and you didn't know who the Hebrews were, and you weren't being taught the Bible and these laws, statutes, and commandments in these law classes in I.S.U.P.K, you would read this definition and not realize that the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And he stole the very heritage and identity of our herbs that we used, as they say, and claims it for himself as though it was not in the Middle East with the ancient Hebrews. Like the word devil means deceiver. In there, right there, that's some high deception that may go over most people's head on the entire planet. But it says it's a European mint, even though it comes from an area where the ancient Hebrews were able to use it. That is highly aromatic and pungent, leaves, and is sometimes used as a pot herb. What is a pot herb? You understand? Meaning they're going to take this herb to clean the house. It's going to be wiped down. It's going to be sanitary. You understand? Usually a leafy herb that's used for cleaning, used for seasoning foods. You understand? Of course, they don't understand what it's for. We are using this. This house is being cleaned. It's being sanitized. It had an infectious disease in there. It was quarantined. It was torn down. And now there's a process to get things back on track. One house was condemned because the plague kept spreading. That house is gone. This is another scenario. If this plague did not spread, now you're able to take it, clean the house, 2 birds and cedar wood and scarlet and hyssop, and he shall kill the one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood and the hyssop and the scarlet and the living bird and dip them in the blood of the slain bird and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall clean the house with the blood of the bird and with the running water and the living bird and the cedar wood and the hyssop with the scarlet. He's going to take and do a process to clean this house. Why is he using a bird? What is a bird covered in? Feathers. You understand? He's going to take one dead bird and a potion that he made, a mixture that he made, a medicine of herbs that he made that is used for cleaning. This is the law for all manner of plague of leprosy and scald, for the leprosy of a garment and of a house, and for a rising and for a scab and for a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the law of leprosy. The Lord had a law on an outbreak of infectious diseases in the Bible. Infectious diseases, laws, and outbreaks right here in the Bible. You understand? Somebody said, Gary, to Shalom. All right, hey, Shalom, warrior. Make sure you sign in for attendance. I see somebody popped up, say, Shalom, can I get a breakdown? Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 11 through 13. All right, let's take a look. I think I was just talking to somebody about this. Some Israelite on Facebook was asking about something. I think 3rd chapter Ecclesiastes should be reincarnation, talking about repopulating, refilling the earth. I think I just had this conversation, or this typing to some brother, breaking it down. Okay. And exactly. Okay. So the brother's question, all right. The brother's question says a breakdown of Ecclesiastes 3 and 11 through 13. So Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter. Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, is talking about life. Of course, it's talking about life. The whole Bible is talking about life, but it's getting into explaining things about life. There are different seasons in life. You understand? As we go into changing of another season from one to another, from summer into fall or autumn, you understand the weather changing, different crops changing, the animals doing things, preparing for their winter hibernation. We're going to start at the first part, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. The heaven, of course, it says the heaven. This heaven is referring to under the sun, under the sky, under the heaven. You understand? Of course, you got one heaven where the birds fly. That's considered the heaven. Where the clouds are, that's heaven. And you got outer space, the firmament, that is also another heaven, or the heavens, plural. Then you have the 4th dimension, where the Most High in his throne room is, where he stands with Christ on his right hand, with the 24 elders in the throne room, the beasts around the throne, and the angels in charge of good and evil, you understand, at his throne room in the 4th dimension. All right? There's a time for everything. Verse 2 says a time to be born and a time to die. There's a time appointed for everyone to be born. There's a time appointed for everyone to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. There's a time to plant crops into the ground. You understand? There's a time that you plant crops. It's not time for you to eat them. It's not time for you to pick them up. But you plant a seed, you plant a prop, you plant a sprout. Could be for a herb, a potato, anything. But eventually, there'll come a time when it's time for you to take out those carrots, take out those potatoes, take out that you have planted. This is what the scriptures is talking about. Verse 3, a time to kill. There is a time to kill. God is not all love. You understand? God is not all songs and dances and rainbows and hugs and kisses. There is a time to kill. You understand? A time to heal. There's a time that is set up that you need to heal. You get sick. A lot of sisters delivering, having babies. Most High in Christ. Congratulations to priest and officer Ryan. Just had a brand new baby boy in his rib. You understand? Congratulations to priest Captain Kapash and his rib just had a brand new baby boy. You understand? So Lockie, anybody else had a baby? I think Officer Iraq You understand? I believe it's Iraq or Iraq. I think it's Iraq. You understand? Out in Arizona, they just had a brand new baby not too long ago. You understand? Congratulations, Most High in Christ, Kwam Yashala. You understand? There's a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up. You understand? There's a time and a place for everything that is under the sun. All right. So that's what the first part of these scriptures is talking about. So now when we get down to, this is King Solomon. He's the wisest man that ever lived on the face of the earth. Next to, of course, our King, Hamashiach Yahweh or Jesus Christ, as the world ignorantly calls him in Hebrew. I mean, in English. Of course, King Solomon, Yahweh Shai was King Solomon in a previous incarnation. You understand? Christ was incarnated several times in the Bible. Christ was Adam. Christ was Melchizedek. Christ was also, Yahweh Shai, because he wasn't the Christ at those times. The first man, Adam, Yahweh Shai, our King Yahweh Shai, he was Adam. He was also Melchizedek that Abraham gave tithes to in the wilderness after dealing with that issue with Sodom and Gomorrah. He was also King Solomon. You understand? Christ was also, and then you had Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, when he was the Christ. He wasn't the Christ when he was King Solomon. He wasn't the Christ when he was Melchizedek. He was not the Christ when he was Adam. You understand? Every man dies, you're born back into the earth again. The Lord determines how soon or when. It's the Most High's timetable. But reincarnation is in the scriptures. So, all right. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 11. He hath made everything beautiful in its time. Everything is set to be beautiful at a certain time. When you first take a seed out, you understand? When you first take a seed out, you don't know how beautiful. Let's use the flip side. Everybody looks and sees how beautiful roses are, how beautiful lilies. A lily is the Most High's favorite flower. A lily is shawashana in the Hebrew. You understand? That's what a lily is. You understand? When you first see a lily, it's not that beautiful, bright colored, vibrant flowers and beautiful colors and things. It's not like that when you first see it. It's a tiny little seed, look like a little rock or a speck of dirt or a pebble. But in due time, the beauty that is inside of that seed that the Most High created, that's going to turn to something beautiful. You understand? You have a little girl, you have a daughter. At first, that daughter, that baby, you understand? It's not a baby. It's not a daughter. You understand? It's a tiny seed, very small, very microscopic. You understand? And then in due time, that tiny seed is going to grow and get bigger. Then you're able to see it. Then it's on an ultrasound. Then that seed, that baby girl, gets delivered. Then it is a person outside of the mother. Outside of the mother's womb. You understand? Then that baby's going to grow up. She's going to grow up. She's going to learn to talk. She's going to learn to walk. Then she'll shine. Then the beauty is going to show more and more. And then she's going to become a teenager. Then she's going to become a woman. This is the scenario in which what the scriptures is talking about. Just as an example, everything is beautiful in his time. You understand? In its time. Everything doesn't start out that way, like a diamond or some gold. A diamond is just rocks encased in rocks. Gold is just encased in rocks. You understand? Buried into the earth. You understand? But in time, after enough fire and enough heat and enough purification and enough pressure and enough time has gone by, that dirty rock covered in earth and soil, that's going to be a diamond. That gold is going to be a grill or some chains or some jewelry or a headpiece or chains or something or some studs. It's going to be beautiful in his time. Also, he hath set the world in their hearts. You understand? The world is in their heart so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Like the Lord, nobody knows everything and how the Lord created everything from the beginning to the end. You know, the Bible says in the beginning, the Most High created the heavens and the earth. It's like, it doesn't say the Most High. It says in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But that word God is Elohim in the Hebrew. That is not talking about the Most High. The Most High did not get off of his chair in the fourth dimension in the throne room of heaven and go and create the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars. The Lord gave an order, and the Elohim, or God, as is written in English, the angels or the powers, which is what Elohim translates into, the powers of the angels the Lord gave the order to. They went and did the work following the orders the Lord gave to the creation. The scriptures tell you that, but that doesn't tell you how the Lord made a cloud, how the Lord made the earth, how the Lord made lava and magma and volcanoes, what his thought process was when he came up with the human mind and the brain, and how DNA and all of these things work. Esau tries to claim and take credit for it with his science and everything that he can figure out, but the Lord have put the world in their heart. The Lord did not give them the full understanding of everything, all of his secrets to how he creates and made everything from the beginning and how he's going to make everything end. You understand? It says in verse 12, I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. You understand? Verse 13, and also that every man should eat and drink. You understand? There's no good in him, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. Christ himself said, you understand, that there is none good but one. Remember, they called Christ good master. They said, good master, good master. Christ said, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one. You understand? There is none good. But let's get that real quick. It's in Matthew. Salaki. It's in Matthew. It's also in Mark. All the disciples have that in their accounts as to what happened with Christ. It's in Mark chapter 10 and verse 18. Yahushua said unto him, why callest thou me good? Now, by any standards, if anyone is going to be good, Christ would be good, right or wrong. If anybody was good, Christ for sure was good. However, what did Christ say out of his own mouth? And Yahushua said unto him, why callest thou me good? Like, why are you calling me good? Now, Christ kept the law, statutes, and commandments. Christ was perfect. You understand? Christ was perfect. He kept the law, statutes, and commandments. He did everything that the Lord asked. Noah was perfect in his generations. Again, what do these words mean? Perfect means you keep the law. That's what it means when it says Noah was perfect. Christ was perfect. Perfection did not mean that you were God. Christ meant, perfect means you kept the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? The law is perfect. Let's get that. The law is perfect. It should be. Romans, I think it says Psalms. We know the law is perfect. Like it, bear with me just a moment. Let's get that. To be perfect, converting the souls of the simple to make wise the simple. Psalms chapter 19. Psalms chapter 19 and verse 7. It says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making simple the wise. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing in the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. So rejoicing in the heart and making wise the simple, rejoicing in the heart, talking about the commandments. This is a precept here. You understand? So it says, I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. All right. So now let's go with Christ said. Back to Mark chapter 10 and verse 18. And Yahushua said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one. Matthew 19 and 17. is a different excerpt of the same thing. Mark's notes are written a certain way. Matthew is also one of the 12 disciples. He is writing notes as well. They're both witnessing the same things, but he has a little bit more detail in his notes. Matthew said, and he said unto him, why callest thou me good? We have the same thing good here. He's saying there's none good. That's what King Solomon is saying in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And what verse was that we were just reading in? Chapter 3 and verse 12. And then it says here, right, Matthew chapter 19 and 17, and he said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one. That is God, or that is the Most High. Nobody is good but the Most High. Now, if Christ himself said that he was not good, but the Most High is good, then we got the preceptor explaining that the law is perfect. So being perfect and good is not the same thing. You understand? But he's going to explain what it says to do good. There is none good but one, that is the Most High, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. You understand? So when he's saying doeth good, what does it mean to doeth good? To keep the commandments. The law is perfect, converting the soul. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. So now we got perfect, the statutes of the Lord. The commandments are doing good. Man is not good, because if Christ was not good, nobody was good. But to do good is to keep the commandments, the rejoicing of the heart, keep the commandments, because we read it right here where it's talking about the law in Psalms chapter 19 and verse 7 and verse 8. So now, when we go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 12, I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. You can do good. You understand? This is what King Solomon is saying. Verse 13, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. The Lord is saying, eat, drink, enjoy the good of your labor, you know. This goes for something there. A lot of times they say you should not enjoy life. You shouldn't do things. The monks have some sort of philosophy that you should not enjoy, you know, pleasures and different things and stuff like that. The Lord did not make pleasures to not be enjoyed. You understand? The Lord gave laws and rules. The Lord said that too much, you understand? He gave laws, he gave rules, he gave statutes, commandments, guidelines, borders, boundaries, you understand, judgments. He gave all of those things, but he made good things to be enjoyed. Again, if you're listening to some heathen tell you that you're wrong for enjoying your life, that's why the Lord said, don't learn the customs of the heathen. You're trying to be some monk walking barefoot on glass, trying to focus and concentrate while they pray to a statue and feed a bowl of fruit to a statue of Buddha. That's not Israelite culture. You understand? That ain't our culture. The Lord said also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. It's the gift of the Most High, the gift of the power. Verse 14, I know that whatsoever the Most High doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nothing nor anything taken from it. You're not going to take nothing away or add anything to something that the Lord created. And the Most High doeth it, that men should fear before him. You understand? So that's what it's saying to verse 13. You know, that's just what it's talking about there. As everything, of course, if you go further down, it should say, let us hear the conclusion of the matter. Once you do that, it's going to start talking about reincarnation shortly after. Verse 15 is getting into reincarnation. He's summing up life. King Solomon is giving so much wisdom from the Most High. He is summing up what life is. You know, there's a time to be born. There's a time to die. Some things are beautiful in a season. You know, in due time, you're going to see the beauty that the Lord has put inside of it. Enjoy your labors. After you work, there's nothing wrong with enjoying your labors. You're supposed to eat. You're supposed to drink. You understand? There's certain times appointed where you fast. There's times appointed when you don't want to drink or you don't want to eat. We got the day of affliction. You might go on a fast, but there's nothing wrong with you eating and enjoying the good things in life. Rejoice in the Most High to do good. Keep his commandments. That doesn't mean that you are good because you keep his commandments. That's what we're supposed to do. Remember, Christ said he wasn't good. So you and I are not good, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, again, we have life, just like the precept in Matthew, if thou shalt enter into life, keep the commandments. Remember the precepts, you see those same words in different places all throughout the scripture. That's how you can verify what is being said. There's nothing in the Bible that you only see one place. That's how a precept is. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. That's how you connect and coordinate with what's in the Bible, what's right, what's wrong, what's true, what the Lord said, what he didn't say. Further on into the chapter, he starts talking about what he started. There's a time to be born, there's a time to die, there's a time to plant, there's a time to pull up, there's a time to weep, there's a time to cry, there's a time to heal. That's a good point. Let me go back up to that scripture. This is a very important thing that our people never make it to in most of our lives, because the Christian church does not teach us how to deal with trauma, how to deal with events, how to heal from the events that happen. A lot of times our people, something happens, something traumatic, we'll spend the rest of our lives rehearsing and staying in that moment to the rest of our lives. Something happened as a child, and for the rest of our lives, we will base our life on that trauma that happened, you understand, that one or however many times. And brothers and sisters, you'll see that a lot of times that have happened, like, for example, the wars and everything that's going on in Chicago is not unique to Chicago. This is happening everywhere, all throughout the hoods. Brothers and sisters have something happen. And because the Christian church does not teach us God's laws, statutes, and commandments, we don't have a guideline or a map how to get over and deal with things. And because I don't know how to deal with things, I cannot cope with life. I don't understand life. I don't understand that the Most High kills and he makes alive, because I'm a Christian. And because I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim, I'm taught God is good all the time. All the time God is good and God is all love. That does not tell me why my friend got killed. That doesn't tell me why this happened. Why I watch so many of my friends get killed or get murdered. Why there's drugs and crack and heroin and guns in my community, but there's no jobs. You understand? Our families are destroyed. Why my life is hell, there is no explanation for this. So I can't get over anything because nobody has solutions to any of the problems that I see on a regular day-to-day basis. And because of it, I must get high. Satan will bring a solution to the problem. You can just escape from it all with a Percocet or with a bump of cocaine or a crack rock or some heroin or some lean, some liquid heroin, drinking syrup. You understand? Some activists, some codeine. You understand? Some scissor, some syrup, some liquid heroin. You understand? Because I cannot cope with life, I have to get high. Because I cannot cope with the destruction that is our family and our community, and not having a father and mommy not knowing what to do and watching her struggle and seeing everybody suffer. You understand? I don't know how to cope with it. So as a result of not knowing how to deal with it, not having any answers to all of the problems and questions that are in my very soul growing up on a day-to-day and a regular basis, now Satan will bring you a solution to your problems. You start killing people. Satan will make sure that there are guns and drugs and religions and Islam and Christianity to fill the void that the Christian church and the Christian preachers has left by not teaching us our heritage that God gave us contained in these laws, statutes, and commandments in the scriptures. You understand? So as a result, we don't realize that there's a time to be born and a time to die. You understand? Brothers feel like they are the ones that are deciding to take someone's life, and then turn around and wonder why someone else took their friend, cousin, or brother's lives, not understanding that the Most High takes people's lives. God kills and he makes alive. You having the gun or not is inconsequential. to your protection, to your survival. God kills and he makes alive. There's a reason why God is killing and he's making alive. There's a reason why these horrible things and questions that you've had in your mind your entire time as a child growing up, and almost all of the adulthood of all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and outside of coming into the truth, you will die with these questions on your soul never getting answered, is because we do not understand how the Most High operates. And in this chapter, King Solomon is explaining very important things and concepts that the Lord gave him the wisdom so that he can write down, that we can learn from. There's a time and a place for everything. I said all of that to say this. You should not be grieving and mourning for the same thing over and over. There's a time to be sad and be mourning for something. There's a time to be sad. There's a time to mourn. You lose a loved one, some family member, some relative, something like that. You should not be grieving and mourning for this same thing or person all of your life. You cannot get past what has happened or the death of someone, this and that. After a time, there's a time appointed to mourn for it. If we do not understand the demons that will come because we don't understand how the Lord set things up, those demons will allow to make to will Salakia, get tongue tied, will be allowed to make a home in our people, thinking that we are supposed to carry on and hold on to these things. I'll give you a prime example. Some loved one dies. You understand? It's a horrible thing and some tragedy. Some loved one dies. But you are not supposed to mourn your mother, your father, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle for the rest of your life. There's a time that you are to mourn. There's a time that you are to get over it. There's a time, because what can happen, not will, but what can happen is the grief that you never get over, you will base your life around this grief. You understand? And that stops us from having a nation, that stops us from forgiving brothers and sisters, that stops us from growing, it stops us from moving on, and it stops us from maturing. You understand? We have a huge problem with maturing as a people. You understand? That's why the Lord calls us children and sheep. Sheep is one of the dumbest animals on the planet that will follow anyone. Even if death is right here, the sheep aren't necessarily going to run away for safety. You understand? They aren't all necessarily going to run for their lives. They may stand there and beg for help, and then they'll all die. You understand? That's why it's so very important. The shepherd is such an essential and a very important role in the Bible. You hear the word shepherd used a lot. You understand? Because as a people, that is the spirit that we have, which is why it is so very important to turn back and obey the Lord and to get in the truth where the shepherds that the Lord set up are. Fake Israelites go and find their own shepherd. Christians and Muslims and Rastas, you find your own shepherd and realize after decades that you've been getting lied to and robbed and touched and fondled and abused, and then they just decide they don't want to do it anymore, and then they go and make a ton of other fake groups after they leave with your money and your grandmother's money, and you're left with nothing but memories. Like, we are not supposed to mourn for something forever. You understand? And that's something that is spiritual. Depression. Our people sit in depression from not understanding the answers to how things function. You understand? Believe it or not, depression is a demon. GEN.YAHANNA said this, that depression is a choice. Now, there are a lot of other things that can lead to your body's depression or your physical depression. One of those things is another huge problem we have as a people. It's called health. We have huge health problems amongst Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans because everybody is full of so much goddamn religion that everybody thinks that Jesus can work it out and Jesus will take the wheel. You understand? And I'll pray away, all of this bacteria and sickness that I need to go to a doctor and get medication to be healed from. You understand? The apothecary is a pharmacist, a doctor. God created that. That's Israelite culture. Apothecary is the word. It's a pharmacist. There's medicine. There's so many health issues, medical health issues, heart issues, digestive issues, all kinds of health issues that our people have that we assume will magically work themselves out, because the religions that we are in is built on magic and fairy tales and hopes, and not reality and what God actually said to do in the Bible. The physician, ye have need of the physician. You might have a need for him. Gen.YAHANNA brings this out just about every other class now. This is important. A lot of the depression that our people have, it can come from a number of things and traumas. That's why we have counseling in I.S.U.P.K. But a lot of them also come from sicknesses, illnesses. You got problems with your blood. Your body's not getting the proper nutrients. You're not drinking enough more water. You got a lot of backed up, bacteria and feces or whatever, and your intestines aren't working. Your kidneys are going bad. Those things can cause changes and problems in your body. Esau calls them chemical and hormonal imbalances, all kind of things and nutrients that we are missing, or medication that we may need. But because we grow up Christians and Muslims and in all these damn religions, we figure that, well, that's just how she is. That's just how he is. That's just how my body works. You might be sick and need to see a doctor. You understand? But again, you have to have a spiritual mind to understand it. This is what real spirituality is. It doesn't have anything to do with beating the tambourine and being able to sing and dance and jump up and down in church. These laws, statutes, and commandments are how real lives function with real people. This is how the Lord set it up. You understand? But like Gen.YAHANNA said, depression is a choice. You have to choose to be depressed about something. This is one of the most depressing times of every year, these holiday seasons. Tons of people don't have family. You got loved ones that's dead, incarcerated. This is why the Lord says, don't take the customs of another nation. We are to rejoice with them that rejoice and weep with them that weep. We're not supposed to be separate and scattered, where they over there is suffering, doing their own thing, and we over here living great. That's not how it's supposed to be as a nation. But you, with your personal salvation and your personal relationship with Jesus and all of this goddamn personal nonsense that's not in the Bible, those things isolate you from the one body that the Lord says that we're supposed to have. One body, one mind. You understand? That being said, we got counseling everything in the school. Brother got a question here. You understand? 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 23. All right. But you should not be mourning over the same thing all of your life. You understand? You come into the truth to get a new life, not to be that same sister, that same little girl, little boy, you understand, that witnessed and had all those horrible things done, that was strung out on drugs and getting shot and running the streets and being a whore, whatever life you had before you come into the truth. That life is supposed to be over. You're learning how to live life the correct way and how to respond to the different demons and situations that you may have inherited because of whatever your past life was or whatever you're going through or facing on a regular basis. That's what these spiritual concepts and things in the scriptures are to teach our people about. And for whatever is too much for you to handle, you should call your camp leader, your school where you are, if you are a sister, you are a brother, and get counseling about how to deal with those things and follow the counseling. You understand? Don't come into the truth and get counsel from the Lord, from the men that God set up to rule the nation, just for you to go and do whatever the hell you wanted in the first place. Why ask the general or the captains or the leader for counsel? Don't do that. Don't do that. You understand? So let's get this thing real quick. 2 Kings chapter 2 and verse 23 and 24. Let's take a look at that. You understand? But understand something is wrong. It is not normal. You should not be mourning for your dead cousin for the rest of your life. Postpartum depression. Some sisters be depressed. Now you got this baby to take care of. What a lot of these depressions and things that happen is because our society is not set up as a nation. You understand? It was an old saying that says it takes a village to raise a child. Because we integrated the village that we had, which the I.S.U.P.K is rebuilding, which is why it is imperative that every brother and sister come into the truth so that we can rebuild that village in all of these city, states, and countries where we are, that is based on the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments and not religion or being a gangster or selling dope or whatever is popular politically at the time. You understand? Our village is supposed to build our people up. It's one thing if you struggling and maybe like the sister said, you got a baby, you sad. This baby needs so much. The baby is crying. I can't get any sleep. Am I going to be a good mother? Am I going to be a good parent? Do I have everything that they need? It's so expensive. All the diapers and the wipes are gone. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Christianity leaves you by yourself. You don't have brotherhood and sisterhood. There is nobody can rely on. That's your problem. You got to take care of yourself, do things on your own. That's what Christianity has left our people, being individuals. You understand? If you try to help some sister in the world with her kids and say, so it's like it. Says you want to put the kids, you don't tell me nothing. I don't need no help. You tell me what to do. I got this. They're my kids. I know what I'm doing, this, and that. That's a demon that the Christian church puts on our people that makes us so arrogant that no one can correct or help us. You understand? Try to tell somebody, listen, you know that smoking is killing brothers and sisters. The COVID is taking brothers' breath away. Brothers and sisters having trouble breathing. You're giving the kids asthma and allergies from all the smoke, the secondhand smoke you're blowing in the damn stroller. Man, tell me what to do. I've been smoking since such and such. I've been eating this pork my whole life. I've been doing this and that. Nobody can correct anything amongst our people because we're so goddamn proud in this Christianity that don't know anything about anything, but can't accept correction from anyone about anything. That's a Christian. You understand? That's what Christianity does to our people. All right? But like, you're not supposed to be by yourself. Our people is in all kind of hell because even though everybody is marching and protesting and voting together, our people are alone. They're alone. Nobody believes the same thing. Everybody praying and worshiping different gods with all these holidays and religions. Nobody actually loves or cares about anybody because nobody knows God's laws, statutes, and commandments. Nobody really knows what to do, how to address situations. Nobody knows that you shouldn't be mourning for your dead brother or your dead cousin 15, 20 years after they die. You shouldn't be going back to the cemetery putting flowers on the grave every year. You understand? You should not be mourning over and over and over and over and over for the rest of your life. You understand? Gen.YAHANNA had to explain this to me as a young officer coming into the truth. You understand? When some relative died, they're still trying to have a birthday party for this dead uncle, cousin, or brother that has been dead 5 years. And every year, they're lighting birthday cakes and candles and throwing a party for a brother that is gone. Like, we should not be stuck in that. That's why in this chapter of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, I'm going to still get your question, Quishah. I'm going to still get it even if we go over. But in this chapter, King Solomon is explaining wisdom from the Lord. You can't stay there forever. At a certain point, you're going to have to choose that I got to move past this. I can't stay with this forever. It may not be easy. It may take some time. You may need some counseling. It is not a sin if you do this, but it is things that we should move forward as a people. We should not stay in that same thing. Otherwise, we will continue to slide one murder after another. We'll never, ever be able to stop all of these wars and beefs and violence in the hood because I remember that you killed OD and you killed Tuka and you killed Tuka and Tuka been dead 15 years and we are all still murdering people for Tuka. We are all still murdering people for OD Perry. I sell 1 million records and I'm still sending out murders for Tuka and OD Perry. Even though I'm a million, this is 20 years later, people are still dying every week over this same thing, this event that we never get over that happened 15 years ago. It should not be like that. Christian religion keeps us in this mode. We should not stay there forever. You understand? Reincarnation is real. That's why Christ said, though they die, you understand, we shall see them again. They're going to be born again. They're going to come back. Wherefore, comfort ye one another with these words. That's what it was saying in the New Testament, explaining these things. Reincarnation is real. That brother will be back. That sister will be back. It is important that you do your part to make the better society, the better world to bring forth Christ's kingdom so they don't die in the projects in Detroit and then come back in the projects in New Orleans 2 generations later. so that they die here and then wake up as a baby in the kingdom where we rule everything and they don't ever have to be in the projects again. Like, we're building the society that will be better than how it was when they left. That's the important part, to keep working and moving forward, to not stay in that incident forever. You understand? But I got to move on. All right, so this 2 Kings 2 and 23, let's get that real quick. 2 Kings chapter 2. All right, 2 Kings chapter 2 and 23. Let's take a look at that. So lock here. 2, 23 through 24. Okay. Oh, the bald head thing? Yeah. 2 Kings chapter 22 and 23. I think this happened a couple of times. New crews put salt therein and went forth the water, saying, cast the salt, so the waters were healed. Mark him. When they looked and cursed him in the name of the Lord. Okay. 2 Kings chapter 23, chapter 2 and verse 23. So let's start at verse 22. It says, so the waters, let's start at 21. And he went forth into the spring of the waters and cast the salt in there and said, thus saith the Most High, I have healed these waters, and there shall not be from thence any more death or barren land. The Lord healed the waters. You understand? Verse 22. So the waters were healed unto this day, according to the saying of Elisha, which he spake. He spake, he healed the waters. Probably some sort of sickness or illness that the Lord cursed the waters. Israel not listening to the Most High like always, probably. Verse 23. And when he went up from thence unto Bethel, as he was going up by the way, there came 4 little children out of the city. They were children. It says there were 4 little children that came and mocked him. They were mocking him. They were teasing and making fun of him. Remember, we went over in the class talking about the Lord does not want you making fun of people. Don't do that. You teasing, making fun of people, calling people names. Remember how we went over how the brother became a serial killer and a murderer because the kids would tease him about his big ears his whole life. And then one day he went on a murdering spree. I just saw that video again. He actually murdered 36 people before he's now probably in some prison doing a life sentence, talking about all his murders and how he started committing the murder. But he stopped at 36 murders so far. Who knows how many people he's murdered in prison. But he's at 36 murders the last time I saw the video. It was a few years old. So the children came out. They made fun of him and said, go up, thou bald head. Go up, thou bald head. They making fun of him. We call him bald head, bald head. They making fun of him, which you're not. Don't do that. Again, it's in the Bible. Stop making fun of people. Don't do that. Don't make fun of people. You understand? Don't do that. Don't pick on someone. You go to camp. There's no personal attacks. We're not personally attacking people. This is not a battle. This is not something where you are defending the scriptures. This is not something where you are someone is coming against the Most High and you are battling some evil against the nation, against the Most High. You understand? These are the kids. They picking on him. It says he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Most High. And there came forth 2 she-bears, 2 female bears, out of the woods, and tear 40 and 2 children of them. He cursed them in the name of the Most High. The Lord sent 2 bears. 2 bears came and ripped up 42 children. That's what happened. I don't understand. What was your question about that? How many children? 40 and 2. 42. It says here, he turned back and looked and cursed them in the name of the Lord. There came forth 2 she-bears, 2 female bears came out of the wood and tear, meaning they ripped up, they tore 40 and 2 children. That's 42 children. 42 children. You understand? It says 42. The bears came. It's not hard to rip up a child if you're a bear. You understand? Kids ain't that big. You understand? As compared to a bear, damn bear, 8-9 feet tall, a gigantic dog with big claws. The kids cannot outrun the bear. They can't outclimb the bear. The bear got claws, got teeth, and it's two of them. The bears show up, the kids scream, they run as fast as their little kid legs can go, and the bear is on top of them and rips everybody to pieces. 42 kids died because the kids were making fun of the prophet of the Lord. The prophet of the Lord got angry. He cursed them. The Lord sent bears. Those kids died. Shalom. That's exactly what happened. It says how many children? It was 42 children. All right. Again, we keep telling y'all, watch what you say out of your mouth to the prophets of the Lord. You understand? Watch what you say out your mouth. Teach your children. Y'all teaching your children to say they in a cult and this and that, and they speaking hate, and you don't know the Bible. Mommy said you in a cult. Teach your children to watch what they say out of their mouth to the prophets of the Lord. These children were not taught what to say out of their mouth to the prophet of the Lord. These children were not taught how to speak to adults. These children were not taught to respect the man of the Lord. I'm sure they knew who Elijah was. Elijah is well known. If you raising your children and they don't know who the prophets of the Lord are, you might not be doing a good job. You understand? You might not be doing a good job. Well, they went out and made fun of him. He cursed them in the name of the Lord. The Lord sent 2 bears, killed 42 of those children. Everybody lost their kids that day. 42 kids gone. Dead. The bears ate them up, ripped them up. Shalom. That's exactly what happened. All right? So that was the last thing there. And with that, we'll go ahead wrap it up. We the Israelite school. You understand? Y'all clap it up. That concludes the class there. All right. I.S.U.P.K. We start out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. We all under Commander General Yahanna. We're not affiliated with any other Israelite groups. You understand? If you are not in the I.S.U.P.K, you are not in the truth. Tithes is a commandment from the Most High. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives to you, you give to the school. Go right on ISUPK.com. 10%, whatever you get. Stimulus check, you hit the lottery, you find $20 on the ground, you pay your tithes. Put your tithes in, go right ISUPK.com, put your email in, your tithes, and send your receipt right to your email address. You understand? All right. Rule for new brother and sister. When a brother or sister comes into the school for off limit for 6 months, they're to be saluted only. They're here to learn and share themselves of the world. They're to be saluted only. You understand? After that, 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in any particular person, they'll get permission from the head to speak to a brother and sister. You get permission. You understand? You will either be approved or you will be denied. But you're not allowed to take it upon yourself to go in court and talk to a brother or sister just because that's what you feel like doing. You go to church and do what you feel like doing. But in here, we have rules, and you'll follow them or you'll be outside of here, like many brothers and sisters have done and found themselves. You can be one of them as well, or you can be in here and follow the rules. This is not church. It's not a mosque. You understand? We don't vote, and we're not Christians. All right? So that upcoming high holy days, you understand that the 28th of November, got a high holy day coming in. It should be Purim. You understand? High holy days coming up. All right. At the end, the 28th of November, you're in Virginia, the High Holy Day Department be in contact with you for the actual location. It's not a High Holy Day. This is a memorial, you understand, to remember for Purim. The information will be sent to you by the correspondence department. Y'all look into that, whatever city and state you're watching from. All right. You're in Virginia. The communication information will be sent out to you there. All right. And lastly, if any brother wants to become a troop in the school, they're to be in all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, war scarf. You understand? Contact the school in your city, your state, your country, where you are. If you're watching this class, contact the school in your zone, in your area. Tell them you want to be a trooper. You understand? All right. And with that, we'll give one courtesy salute to the brothers. Yahweh Bashim Al Shah Brakathum. To the sisters, Yahweh Shemal Athun Bashim Al Shah. Shalom.